Hi everyone, in today's video I'd like to start a new series called for Yara Rules. Yara Rules are commonly used by cybersecurity professionals to do signature-based detection. As an example, we can use the strings within a file or application, we can use the p header of application or a file, or we can basically use the file hash to detect the malicious application in our environment. And it is a really powerful tool that I recommend every cybersecurity professional to be familiar with, because it allows us to define a lot of rules, and if any of our rules matches, then we can send alert back to us to know that our incident has occurred within our server. So the first thing we need to do is we need to build our Yara rule, and we can do that by basically creating a file called for rule.yara, and from there on we can basically create a rule called for example1. And with example 1, we can have a metadata which define the purpose of the rule. So let's say example detection rule, and then we can just create the same description name. So in the description, I would recommend defining like what the purpose of the rule is and what threat it is detecting. But since this is just series that I'm working on, we don't really need to do that. So in the strings, what we can do is we can define variables, and we can define variables by using the $sign, and we can use example as, let's say, str1 as example, and then we can say I love you, and then we can create another string called for str2, and then we can say I hate you. And basically now, since we have defined our string variables, we can now create a condition. Condition will basically check if the string 1 or string 2 is found. So let's say we want to detect a file that has both of the strings. We can do that by using str1 and str2. And this will basically detect all the files that has string 1 and string 2. You can also use OR, that is also a possibility. And this will basically detect if string 1 or string 2 contains within any files within our environment. So yeah, in my circumstances, I will use the AND parameter because it will allow us to better understand what the purpose of Yara rules are. So now we have successfully built our Yara rule. Now let's go into implementing our Python script. So we can implement the Python scripts fairly easy by using import Yara. And then we can also import the OS because we are going to scan through our current directory. We can now define our rule, and we can use Yara compile, and we can use file path, there we go. And now we can use rule Yara. Now all we need to do is we need to define a function which will scan through all the files within our current directory, and we can do that by basically creating a function, scan file, and then we can have a path. The default path can be the current directory, and we can go through all the files in OS list there, and then we can do path, and here we can do full path OS join or OS path join, and then we can do path.f with the file name. And if the OS path is if the OS path is there, then we can do full path. We can check if it's the current directory is we can check if there are any directories within our current directory, and if a directory is found, then we can execute the same function again, so we can go through all the files within our environment. So there we go. Else we can basically do the matches. We can now check if any of the files within the current directory matches with our Yara rule, and if it does, then we will print out some print statements. So we can do rule.match, and we can do file path full path. And now we can do if matches, like if it matches, then we will print a string called for, let's say, we can call it strings detected And then we can basically print the file name. File name. We can do F, and then we can do print F again to print the current directory. So full, we can call it directory, or let's say file location, and we can do full path. Now we can basically just execute the function, and I want that to be executed at our current directory. And now all we really need to do is we basically just need to create some temporary files. So temp1.txt, and then temp2.txt, and then temp3.txt. And we can now copy over, let's say, yeah, all those strings. Let's see, I love you. There we go. Let's just remove that. So temp1 will have basically the, or actually let's put I love you here. And then let's put I love you and I hate you. And then here, let's just put I hate you. So now if we look through our, temporary files again, temp1 has I love you. Temp2 has I love you and I hate you. And temp3 has, we can put I hate you. And our Yara rule defines that when string 1 and string 2 is found, then it's detected as a malicious file, basically. So if we execute the Python script, the temp2 file should be detected as a malicious file. So yeah, as you can see, it scanned our Yara rule. Actually, it didn't really scan our our actual rule. Okay, that's kind of funny. Let's actually move that to somewhere else. I hate you. There we go. Now let's create a folder call for up or files. There we go. Let's move that over there. And now if we try again, it detected, wait, let's see, files. And then we can close that. So now let's give it a shot. And as you can see, strings detected, temp2, and it basically tells us which directory it is at files and temp2 location. So yeah, this is basically how we work with Yara rules. It might seem complicated in the beginning, but it's actually fairly simple. Yara rules are just basically fantastic for malware forensics. It allows us to basically quickly detect malwares within our environment. Anyway, guys, this was pretty much a video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if there's anything I can do to explain things better, please let me know. But in the future episode, I'll go through scanning the PE header of a malicious application and use the PE header information to detect it by using Yara rules. So yeah, I'm excited for that episode, and I hope that I can upload it as soon as possible. Anyway, guys, I see you guys later. Cheers!